Welcome back to the Auto Obsessive Garage. Chadwick with you again for a badass edition of the Auto Experience series. I can't even take myself seriously. How do I expect anyone else to? Why is it a badass edition? Well, because of the car we're driving today, guys. We're driving a 2006 Dodge Magnum SRT8. Let me try that again. SRT8. Yeah, that's right. That designation's pretty important. That was the hottest of the hot in the Dodge lineup in the mid-2000s. Also means it's powered by quite a special little engine, a 6.1 liter Hemi. Puts out some good power, 425 horsepower, 420 pound-feet of torque. Great specs. Those are even modern times fast car specs. But we are in the mid-2000s with this episode, aren't we? So that's a great number to be at. Just for comparison's sake, the V8 Mustang GT at the time had 300 horsepower. That is a significant delta between these two cars. Also, why this episode is badass is because this car is just plain badass. There's quite a few Magnums that were made, and the SRT8 version is one of the rarest Hemi-powered Dodges out there, honestly. The Magnum SRT8 is the rarest of its SRT brethren, which you might know, the Charger, Challenger, 300C. But the Magnum is the rare one, guys. There are not too many of these bad boys out there. And boy, it's bad. It's just a bad, bad car. You get in this car and you really just can't drive normal. It's really difficult to control yourself. The power is great. The looks are it's so aggressive looking. It's got so much style. The low slung wagon shape in black with this noisy engine under the hood. It's just, how do you not act like a hooligan every time you drive this thing? That's the question of the day. What else? I'm like, what do we even talk about? Yeah, so look, in the States, guys, we are always complaining we never get the fast wagons. Here is an American company, Dodge, known for its muscle car manufacturing, and they tossed us exactly what we wanted. Sure, the enthusiasts out there will complain that it only came with an automatic. Fair enough. That's a fair call out. But we have a high horsepower performance wagon. Why isn't anyone out there celebrating the Dodge Magnum SRT8? I know a lot of people like them, but this thing isn't heralded as this great American performance wagon. You hardly hear about it, and you definitely hardly see them. I've always been intrigued, but the price point has kind of kept me away until I found a good deal in this one. Now, if you follow the channel, check out my build series on this because it is one of the most in-depth, not by my choice, projects that I have endured in recent history. So I put a lot of effort into this car, cams, lifters, all the good stuff that you are pretty intimate with if you work on Hemi engines. Yeah, quite the project. Anyway, check that series out, Magnum SRT8. If you can find them, they do pop up for sale every once in a while and can still be had at a very good price. Be honest with you, one with decent mileage and matching condition will run you around $15,000. That's not a lot of money, really, when you think about the performance to dollar ratio and the rarity and how cool the car is itself. They are pretty awesome, but you have to understand, you probably have to do some work to them. Maintenance is pretty straightforward. Of course, there's the cam and lifter issues that affects all Hemis from this period. Put some money aside for that, unless you're crazy enough as me and have months to work on the car in your garage. That might be the other option. But this is a great car, guys. It literally, I just don't know. I really like it. It grew on me even more than I thought. I drove it more than any of my other projects, and I continue to drive it more than any of my other projects. It is just that damn fun. It is such a fun car to drive. It just drives normal. It's fine, taking it easy. But boy, this thing just wants you to present it with a straight that's at least a quarter mile long, and it really wants you to plant that right foot every once in a while. It does reward you with a really fantastic sound if you do too. Let me see if I can just squeeze a little power out right now. Oh boy. Yeah, it never gets old, guys. That never gets old. So yeah, And it has the SRT blessing, so they have touched up the handling over the regular Magnum. That's cool. We'll talk about that in our handling section. But guys, this is a super fun car. It's super attainable. It's totally functional. We didn't even talk about the fact that it's a damn wagon. I mean, you could throw so much junk in there. You can fold the seats down. It's wild. It's wild how functional this car is and how absolutely fun it is to drive. Enough of that stuff. Let's get on the objective tests. Let's weigh this bad boy. Let's rip a quarter-mile time with it, see a 0 to 60 time, and test those 4-piston Brembo brakes out, shall we? On to the objective tests. We've got the Magnum SRT8 up on the scales. Let's go ahead and get that curb weight and that front and rear balance. At just shy of 4,200 pounds, the Magnum SRT8 is a heavyweight. What I never saw coming was this nearly 50-50 front and rear weight balance. That's incredible for a giant wagon, and certainly a surprise. Whew. The Magnum SRT8 accelerates with the subtle pull of 10 steam-powered locomotives all chained together. This wagon hauls all the ass. Handling-wise, well, it's passable. The SRT team did put some effort into the supporting features, namely a firmer suspension, thicker sway bars, and 4-piston Brembo brakes, which are so necessary in bringing this massive beast to a halt. The long wheelbase and 20-inch wheels do make the Magnum SRT8 a competent highway cruiser. In the corners, you really can't escape the mass of this vehicle. It doesn't slice through them so much as it bends them to its will. There's a good amount of push through the corners when you're really on it, but the Magnum SRT8 actually rotates slow and predictably due to its high curb weight and long wheelbase. The exterior design of the Magnum SRT8 has one completely clear descriptor, and that is attitude. The Magnum's super stretched wheelbase, high belt line, and chopped roof gives it that punch-you-in-the-mouth sideways glance if you stare too long look. Fortunately for the Magnum SRT8 variant, the muscle is all there to back up the tough guy image. Blood-red Brembo calipers peer out menacingly behind massive 20-inch SRT engraved wheels. And Hemi badges seal the deal that this wagon means nothing but business. The Magnum SRT8 is just oozing with badass attitude. The Magnum really delivers on that mid-2000s Chrysler plastic-intensive landscape. Everything, and I mean everything, is plastic, and not of the highest grade either. The seats in the Magnum SRT8, though, are certainly the highlight of this interior. They are completely comfy and well bolstered at the same time. SRT8 embroidery is present for badass bonus points. Also, a nod to the factory subwoofer still being present on this example. But all this cheap plastic can be forgiven for the monster that lives under the hood. Yeah, it's got a Hemi. The Magnum SRT8 is powered by a 6.1-liter pushrod V8, outputting 425 horsepower, 420 pound-feet of torque. These were massive numbers for the mid-2000s and still highly capable today.
Power and torque pour on like a smooth and thick tall glass of maple syrup. There's no dramatic shift in power at any RPM level, just a constant pin you back in your seat shove. Once the Magnum overcomes its inertial mass and escapes Earth's gravity, the vehicle chugs along at a simply amazing pace. This power plant is also not very complicated and pretty straightforward to repair, which it will require, as there is a very well-known issue impacting nearly all Hemis of this era. See my project series regarding cam versus lifter disagreements. But overall, it appears this 6.1 is the most hardy of all the Hemi variants from this period. All of this is forgiven once you hear the brilliant factory exhaust song of its Hemi people. Tasked with harnessing all the power that this massive Hemi generates is a 5-speed automatic manufactured by Mercedes-Benz. Cue the sad music. A manual transmission was never offered here. This transmission is often criticized for slow shifts, but I certainly found that not to be the case with this specific Magnum SRT8. I found it to shift very quickly and quite harshly, as evidenced by the rapid acceleration numbers we generated during our tests. Is the Magnum SRT8 still a badass in today's automotive mosh pit filled with Hellcats, mid-engine Corvettes, and twin turbocharged everythings? Why, hell yes it is. Not in a horsepower measuring contest, not really at all, but rather the Magnum SRT8 reps and reps strongly its mid-2000 stats. Bringing 425 horsepower to the table is no slouch, and having that power level in a wagon just ups the coolness factor. The Magnum SRT8 does a middle-fingered burnout to modern tech, all while hauling a truckload of lumber from your local hardware store in the back. This SRT8 is still a badass car, and it always will be.